You want to increase chest size, improve your chest strength, and even improve those fast twitch muscle fibers so that you can enhance your overall athletic performance. Here's 4 tricks that you can use to increase your chest size and strength, and we're gonna start right now. Have you ever heard the quote that you must go slow to go fast? Or maybe even this version, you need to slow down if you want to go fast. And sometimes this quote even rings true when we're trying to build muscle mass. One great way to build a big, burly chest is to work on slow eccentrics. So using slow, deliberate eccentrics can lead to greater mechanical tension. There's more time under tension, and that's gonna force you to get stronger through that full range. Now, I really like to use slower eccentrics with about a 4 to 6 second eccentric. That's the period when we're actually lowering that. And if we can do this once a week, let's say we do 5 sets of 4 and we build up over those 5 sets, and we can do that for 4 to 6 seconds, you would terminate the increase in weight when you can no longer hold that eccentric period for those 4 to 6 seconds. So if you could do that for 6 to 8 weeks, with multiple different variations of the bench press, now you're gonna target great amounts of mechanical tension, which will lead to a greater adaptation. That in turn will lead to greater strength and ultimately greater size. And just stay tuned as we get further into deeper variations that are gonna help blow up that chest strength and size. When you think of the chest, you're most likely to think of the pecs. And you're right to do so. So the pectoral region is located on our anterior chest, and there's multiple muscles here that are predominantly responsible for pressing with our upper limbs. And so pec major is responsible for about 80% of our muscle mass on our pecs. And if we think about it, pec major is going to have the sternocostal head and the clavicular head. And then we are also going to have the pec minor. Okay, that's like a little muscle that comes down here. So the serratus anterior and the subclavius muscles. But ultimately, pec major, pec minor a little bit, but mainly pec major is going to be most responsible for building that big time, strong freaking chest. And this takes me into some of the most intense hate that I've ever gotten on YouTube. When I stated if you can do 50 clap push-ups a night, this will help you get to a 315, potentially to a 350 pound bench press. So if you weigh 200 pounds and you're hitting those clap push-ups over and over and over again, and you do this every single night for 10 sets of 5 or 5 sets of 10, this can help you get to that 315 pound plus bench press. Now, we have to use different variations. We can't just do clap push-ups. If we can do those slow eccentrics and move that at glacier speed and then explode like a geyser coming up through the concentric, that's gonna help us improve our overall chest strength and chest size. Same thing with these clap push-ups. Clap push-ups are a phenomenal tool that's gonna lead to more mechanical load. It's gonna lead to that plyometric. It's gonna lead to acceleration through the strength curve. That's why it works. And the further training strategies that we are about to talk about are the same types of strategies that we use inside of our app, Peak Strength. Inside of Peak Strength, we have periodized programming to help you guys blast through those plateaus. Now, the next exercise is going to be a slightly different variation with a slightly different trick to help you build the muscular pecs. So another way to execute a heavier eccentric portion of the lift and still be able to do the concentric portion of the lift is to use a tool for assistance. Introducing the pad bench. So the pad bench is gonna allow you to ricochet that weight just like a rocket that's about to take flight. And so it's gonna look like this. Okay, so we're gonna take the pad, we're gonna have that set here. We're gonna take the bar off the bench right here. And ideally you would have a spotter holding the pad. Okay, so you get set here. You go here. Athletes start to use this, okay, they get this slow eccentric, a controlled eccentric at least, where their mind and their body, their nervous system starts to recruit high threshold motor units because it's usually pretty freaking heavy. And then when you get to the pad, you get a nice bounce, and that helps you get that chest moving, and then you can drive through and finish the actual rep. If you can do this for 4 to 6 weeks during the ascension phase or even leading into the summit phase, and you're doing 5 sets of 5, let's say, over time you get more comfortable moving that heavy weight fast, and then that leads to a better lockout position, which in turn will help grow your chest long term, okay? A lot of people are gonna say, oh, well, the lockout's more triceps. Yes, but when you get down to this bottom position, you're still working through that eccentric. You're still getting a stretch shortening cycle here, and then that's gonna lead to that big time recruitment. So we like to use that pad bench when we're peaking our athletes, but we also like to use that when we have someone who's struggling with a plateau and they need to burst through that so they can get more swole. But speed and explosiveness can only go so far, which is why we're gonna go back to those eccentrics that we mentioned earlier in the video. I'm giving away 1 free swole shirt to anyone who, 1, comments down below, 2, make sure that all of your channel notifications to Garage Strength are active, and then 3, show up to our Tuesday public live to find out if you won this sweet swole shirt. So just like we used the eccentrics earlier in the video, we're gonna show you another really sweet way that you can overload the eccentrics, which in turn is gonna lead to greater chest development. Okay, and this is gonna be involving a unique form of a fly. And when I do a chest fly, I like to think about hugging a really fat tree. So if I get in position here, I can come back, I'm here, I bring this out through that slow eccentric. Now I can bring this in and press up. So the slow eccentric is for the fly specifically, and then we can bring it in and press. And even when you bring that in, you actually will feel a little bit of that pec minor. But the slow eccentric overloads the fly, which lengthens the hell out of that pec major. And in turn, because you're working through that long range of motion on the eccentric, you're going to be able to lead to some type of muscular damage and ultimately that greater mechanical tension. So you're using that eccentric as a unique way to really blow up your pecs. I'd recommend doing like 5 sets of 5 with a 3 to 4 second eccentric, 5 sets of 7. You could go with like a 2 to 3 second slow eccentric and make sure that's nice and controlled. And then when you bring that in, even try to squeeze your sternum with the pecs. Okay, you can bring that in here and press. This is something I would put later on in the workout. So let's say you have an absolute strength movement, maybe a bench paired with, another type of back exercise. This would be like 3A. And this is what we do inside of Peak Strength, where we have over 700 different exercises that's periodized in a specific manner. So it's easier for you guys to make those strength gains. You can establish that peak gait. You can lead into your specific type of programming that's gonna help you optimize your overall strength gains over that long period of time, so that you can get that nice swole chest. But as we've built explosively and we've built slowly, what happens if we just stop? Okay, so we've talked about moving slower can lead to these bigger gains. But what about that stopping? Can stopping actually lead to bigger gains? And the answer, of course, is yes. If we think about moving slowly and controlled and then doing a pause rep, or even doing something that's referred to as a spoto press, that's potentially going to lead to targeting those high threshold motor units in that deep stretch position, which in turn is gonna help that plateau. So if we look at something like a pause rep, okay, we're gonna get set here, we're gonna bring that bar down, and we can go controlled, boom, 1, 2, up, 1, 2, up, 1, 2, up. Now, a spoto press is gonna look more like this. Here, about an inch off, and then you don't lock that out. So you get a lot of freaking time under tension. Now, what I really recommend is that if you do like 4 or 5 sets, let's say you're building up pretty heavy in that bench workout, and then at the end of that bench workout, you do 2 to 3 drop sets with one of those pauses. That's especially if your pecs are weak and you're not that good off of your chest. One big factor as well is that we don't want to see this, okay? A lot of athletes who have weaker shoulders and pecs will get to this position here and they'll sort of collapse on the pauses. And that transfers horribly. Now, we've got one more stopping trick that's gonna help you blast through that plateau and lead to those monster pecs. Now, a little bonus to this fourth trick is going to be using pins. So what you can do, okay, you're in this tight range of motion here, and you're basically stuck right off your chest. And what we can work on is sitting down, having that good retraction in that upper back, and then exploding up. And it's almost like combining a spoto press with a pin press. One more, come down. Oh. Now, the crazy part is that when you're doing that, your pecs are gonna blow up, your triceps are gonna blow up, and it's going to have to blow up your overall pec size. Because of that short range of motion, because of that lengthening that you have going on, that's going to lead to big time muscular gains in your pecs. These are all tricks that we use consistently. We got one more to throw at you guys so you can keep blowing up your pecs, lead to a stronger chest, and ultimately greater sports performance. So if you noticed, I was using a fat bar the entire time. I like to use those fat bars to help force that higher threshold motor unit recruitment from the prime movers. If you don't have access to a fat bar, you can pick up our brand new garage grips to help improve your overall strength and size in your pecs. If you guys need help with your training, head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store, so that you guys have easy access to freak-based training. Because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.